Hey everybody, well, about 2 more weeks to go. Let me turn the camera, the girls out in the pasture, taking a little easy out there. No snow on the ground. As you can see, we missed another snowstorm. Supposed to have had 5 or 6 inches of snow yesterday, last night, this morning, and it all went south of us again. So hopefully, once we get into spring and summer and looking for rains, we'll hope they don't all go to the south the same way. Still got 2 weeks to go, as I said, on the ewes. There's not much going with the sheep right now, but today we're going to talk about something a little different. It's going to interest some of you. It's not going to interest some of you. And that is my security cameras, or the cameras I use to keep an eye on the sheep, especially now when I'm getting ready to lamb. Back in January, I mentioned I bought a new camera. I had it out, sorry the sun, out in the post out there. I talked a little about it, but to be honest with you, that was about the time I was having COVID, so I didn't have a lot of energy or get up and go to put in for videos at that time. And the camera was new. Now I've had it for about 6 or 7 weeks. I've had a chance to use it. I really like it, and I moved it. And I bought another one. So here it is. Let me get around. Here's the one camera. It's a little low. It can probably be moved up. Eventually, I had it low to begin with because I could sight all the way down here, and turn you around, it could see out that way too. So one camera was actually kind of covering everything. Now, I'll probably move it up some because I have now purchased a second camera that'll cover the outside. The camera is called it's hosafe.com, HOSAFE.com. There'll be a link down in the description. I assume that's short for home safe. I really like, they're not very much. I paid $42 for the camera, tax and everything. You got about 45 bucks when you're into it. The key that I really love about them is you may rotate them. Now they say up to 350 degrees, and when I had it over here, I had it positioned, so yeah, it would almost go all the way around. Here, I don't care. I don't need 350 degrees here, but I do want to rotate it. I have had individual cameras. There's one there. I had another one on the side. There's 2 underneath there. But the other day I noticed when I had just put this camera in first, the sheep were all up in here. They were laying up in here. It's at nighttime. And I noticed with 4 cameras, 4 stationary cameras, I could see 8 out of the 10 sheep. That's all I could see. There was 2 somewhere. With that one single camera in there, I could rotate it and see all 10 sheep. So in a sense, one camera was doing the job of 4. Now I set another one out here, so now clearly 2 is going to do the job of 4. The nice thing I like, okay, so what I've got them, they're attached, they hook through an app to my phone, goes to my phone. I also use it with my iPad. Being a little older, I kind of like the iPad because the iPad allows me with a bigger screen, I can see a little better. But basically what it does, let's take the camera here under the shed. I can take the camera under the shed and I can use my finger, swipe the screen. If I want the camera to go right, I swipe it right. If you want it to go left, you swipe it left. But you can move the camera back and forth. Now, taking the outside camera here, as you can see, it's got a good distance. It covers all the pasture. Again, I want to move it left, I swipe it left. I can also move it up or down. Swipe down, swipe up. Again, I'm covering everything. That was the way, when I needed to see all 10 sheep the first time, that was almost the way I did it because they were down below the camera, but I could actually tilt the camera all the way down and see them underneath. And then if you really scare your sheep when you got them out there, turn on the microphone and say something to them. And that blows their little minds, I'll tell you that. Now, at nighttime, also, of course, you have infrared at night. And here you'll see them. This is a nighttime view. And you can see through the infrared. You can see very well. I am going to say there's one thing to that. all right? I still have the 2 cameras under the shed going. Those are still operational, they're still going. Now because of that, I actually have 3 infrareds running underneath that shed. If I shut those other 2 cameras off, it's not going to be nearly as bright in there. All right, so I'm going to lose some of my light levels when I shut them off. For now, I'm going to let them go. We're going to start lambing in a couple weeks. We should hopefully be done in 6 or 7 weeks. So I thought the 2 cameras that are up underneath the shed, I'm going to leave those go so I can get it plenty bright at night. I have removed one from the front. I'm going to take this other one off. I'll take it off too, because that one does cover pretty good. And I like to, now that I have extra cameras, I want to move these more inside. And let me go inside. As we mentioned, the catch pen, get it acclimated to the light a little better. I got plenty of bedding put down just in case. This area has 3 cameras in it, but you get some blind spots. So now, by taking my 2 cameras down there, I can actually bring in and maybe run 4 cameras the length of this, because that way, as I divide, if I get a ewe with lambs, I can put her way in the back, close the gate. I could put another ewe with a couple lambs, close this gate. I could even divide this in half, and I could actually turn this into 4 small lambing pens to let a ewe and a couple lambs stay. So if that's the case, I wouldn't mind having 4 cameras here so I can see all 4. And I have had situations, I brought them in, I put the ewes in, and they haven't had lambs yet. Then I can sit in the house, I've got the cameras, I can watch them, and it works real well. My cameras in here, so you know, I've said it before, but you know, these are all hardwired. When you have metal building, wireless doesn't work too well with a metal building. So all of these inside had to be hardwired. I picked that unit up from Harbor Freight. I ended up running an Ethernet cable all the way from my house to the barn. But I'm fairly close, so it's not too bad. The new ones I have, of course, are all wireless. And so you know, these cameras are probably sitting about 120 or 130 feet away from the router back in the house. When I had the camera on the fence out here, then I would say that camera was probably 150, 160 feet away from the router in the house. I had no problems. So I would say anywhere out at least 150 feet away from your router at your house, you shouldn't have any problem with these cameras. Now, if you have a metal building and you're farther away, let's say you're 200 or 300 feet away, and you want to do something with that, then what you'd end up doing is what my daughter did on her barns. That is, they have the router in the house. They wired up to a thing that the guy put on the outside of the house. They did the same thing at the other end at the barn, and then they put another router inside the barn. So basically, your router in the house works just like it always does, but it sends a wireless signal out to a second router out in the barn, and that router now is real close to your cameras. And if you're inside a total enclosed metal building, if the router is inside that enclosed metal building, it'll still work cameras inside that building because you have a secondary router. And matter of fact, in my daughter's case, she did that so she can see her goats when they're kidding. But right next door is another metal building, which is my son-in-law's garage. Stuff they were doing there, they put a booster to that one too and put a third router. So they're actually running 3 routers in their situation to cover all their big metal buildings. If you have to, that's what you could do too. In my case, I'm pretty lucky in the fact that my cameras at 120, 130 feet have no problem. They're working real well for that distance. And I do have the total wired ones inside the barn. So I didn't have to go with a wireless booster or do any of that in my case. So got pretty lucky on that end of it. But I did want to cover the cameras. I tell you, it's so much nicer if you're out evenings. At night, you're sitting, you've got ewes in, you're not sure what's going on, and it feels so much nicer when you can just grab your phone, grab your iPad, whatever it is, and you can go ahead and see them, make sure everything's going good. So there's all the guys. Let's see if I can get through by the fence. Everybody is sunning themselves. We didn't get the snow, but we did have the cold. I'm supposed to get down to close to 0 tonight, so we're going to get good and cold tonight. But it looks like next week 60s and 70s, and I hope that's the case, because well, I'll tell you, we're just a couple weeks off lambing, and I sure wouldn't mind seeing some warmer weather for that. Girls, how we doing? Everybody getting ready and getting close? Yeah. Even Callie in front, I'll tell you, she's got some pretty good size to her for a 2001. So, and they're all supposed to be bred. We'll see how that works out. All right, I didn't have a lot for today, but I did want to go over these cameras with you. Thought they might be something that you might want to make use of yourself. Again, I'll put a link down in the description, and I think for 45 bucks, it's an awful good camera for 45 bucks, that's for sure. All right, we'll see if we're back next week. If not, well, I'll tell you, 2 weeks ought to put us close.